On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being outshines every star you are part of, every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near a world you've never heard before. And on that clear day, on this clear day, you can see forever and ever and ever and ever more.
Thank you so much, Anne. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the First Universalist Church of Rochester, where we are called to nurture the spirit and to serve the community. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. And whomever you love, we welcome you here this morning. If you have the capacity to look ahead into the future, or if you are just living for the moment, we welcome you here this morning. We welcome all of you. It is good. It is good. It is good to be together in this virtual sacred space with one another. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us and finding us. At the top of our online service, I just want to invite you to please remain muted throughout our service. Earlier, we had an opportunity to sing happy birthday to one of our members, and we really got to hear ways that our voices can be cacophonous if we are not muted. It also helps to keep the sounds clear for our recording of our worship service. However, we do have a chance to talk to one another throughout our service. So if you look down below, or sometimes it's above or to the side, there is a chat function here. A lot of folks are using it already. So, please feel free to get on there to share a greeting. We'll also be using that during joys and sorrows, and also to participate in different worship elements in the service. We usually would not encourage you to talk through the service, but our connections are so precious to us now more than ever. It is good to be together. So as we gather this morning, we want to invite you to pop into the chat and to offer a greeting. It could be a hello, or even a wave, or just some sort of a brief greeting. Let us know you are here, because it is so good to see everyone. It's good to see Peggy and Jody and Henry and Caitlin and Lisa and everybody who is here this morning. Welcome. Welcome, welcome to worship at First Universalist Church. And as we begin, we will join hearts and voices in singing together this morning, recognizing that even as we are singing muted in our own homes, we are creating a song across our city of Rochester and across the country, as some of us are here calling in from other states. So let us sing together our hymn number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity, let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision, clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. is in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. And when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Our words to call us to worship this morning from Margaret Weiss. The church is not a place, it is a people. The church is not only a steeple shooting through the tree line above the buildings and streets and cars, rather it is a people proclaiming to the world that we are here for the work of healing and justice. The church is not walls built stone upon stone, held together by mortar, but rather person linked with person, linked with person, linked with person, of all ages, genders, and abilities. A community built on the foundation of reason, faith, and love. The church is not just a set of doors open on Sunday morning, but the commitment day after day and moment after moment of our hearts creaking open the doors of welcome to the possibility of new experience and radical welcome. The church is not simply a building. The church is not simply a steeple. The church is not simply a pew. The church is the gathering together of all people and experiences and fear and love and hope in our resilient hearts, gathering however we can to say to the world, welcome, come in, lay down your heartache and pick up hope and love. For the church is us, each and every one of us, together as a beacon of hope to this world that so sorely needs it. Come, 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 let us worship together this morning. And this morning out here from my porch, I have a chalice to light for our chalice lighting this morning. So I want to invite you to join with me in lighting our chalice this morning. As our chalice is now lit, will you please join me in our chalice lighting words this morning, spoken in unison together from wherever we are. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please join me in saying our affirmation of faith, followed by our doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. Let us join in singing our doxology. Friends, we are here together in this great experiment. Thank you for your patience in the midst of it all. Friends, it is no secret that we need church now more than ever. In these times, we are prioritizing folks' safety, but we are also providing ways for people to connect. Your staff and leadership have been doing all that we can to keep our community running when we can no longer be meeting together in our church building. And it is amazing today that we have 77 participants in this worship service with 3 more folks that we need to get on here. There are so many people here this morning. Your support of this deep and valuable work is needed now more than ever. Through your gifts to First Universalist Church, you are making connection possible when we are sorely in need of it. Through your gifts, you give us the capacity to continue serving our community and to continue nurturing our spirits as our community grows just beyond the greater Rochester area to folks joining us for worship in connection in Florida, in Colorado, and from the 4 corners of our country. We invite all who are present this morning to give online in the link provided in our chat. Your contribution certainly makes a difference in the lives of those who are spiritually connected through this community. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you can give this morning. It will go a long way. Well, Brock, it's so good to hear from you this morning from your sun porch. Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful musical gifts. Our story this morning comes from Lynn Unger. who is an amazing storyteller and writer. And so she brings us this story, Sustaining the Tree. A tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too, of course. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots. Squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of the delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next village that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you," said the merchant. "You could just take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they'd been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and he headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so. May it be so. May it be so for each of us. The end. And now let us join in our hymn of affirmation this morning.
Just in case you didn't hear it, I'm going to sing through once, and then you can join with me on the second time. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to see what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another, and may we walk in peace. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to seek what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another, and may we walk in peace.
I invite you now into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place a hand over your heart to listen or to read from this heart-centered place. As I join in lighting candles here on my porch, please share your joys and sorrows in the chat that we may hear from the gathered community in this virtual sacred space. So let us join in this important and reverent time of sharing the joys and the sorrows of this gathered community.
This is Pam Jacobstein.
And I will light one final candle to represent all of the joys and the sorrows left unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts this morning. May all be held in the heart of love. So will you join me now, friends, in a moment of prayer and meditation. I'll invite you, wherever you are seated, wherever you are right now, to just get comfortable in your chair, to get comfortable wherever you are. Place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel your connection to the earth. Take a deep breath. I was on a call this past week with Father Richard Rohr, who reminded the religious leaders gathered there that we cannot have hope without first naming suffering. This feels profound to me in this moment where each one of us is looking for places of hope in the moments in our lives, while also navigating deep grief. The days ahead and the days behind have contained such losses: loss of jobs, loss of regular human contact, loss of life as we know it, loss of seeing friends or loved ones that we know are struggling. This morning in this gathered community, it feels important to name what we are grieving, to lift up the experiences of grief, and to know that we are not alone. No way are we alone. At times in our morning meditation in the past, I had asked you to call out your experiences, and this morning I ask you to do the same by naming some of your sources of grief in the chat box. Let us share with one another where we are experiencing loss. In the sharing of suffering, may we also find hope and perspective. May we know that we are not enduring this by ourselves. May we know that our sorrows are shared and held by those we cannot see, but we know are there. And so I'll just invite you right now in this shared sacred space, this virtual sacred space, to take a moment to type into the chat box where you are grieving, what you are grieving, knowing that it will be held by this community. These jobs, this building, this house, this room, these people, this routine, these parts of our days we believed would not change, these losses, these loved ones, these homeless, these children, this worship, those community events, this social distancing, these new experiences, this changing, this shifting, this loss, all of it. For all of it, may our hearts be filled with all we cannot save, with all we must accept and surrender to, with the deep losses of these days and the ones we had not noticed until now. In sharing it, may we get to the heart of the matter, and may we be seen and understood by those we choose to be in community alongside of. We are not alone. No way are we alone. In the silence, in the imperfect silence, we shall join in this morning. May we know that we are held. May we know our grief and do our best to feel it rather than quickly moving on. For in feeling the grief, we have a chance to really deeply feel the power of hope. So let us join in a moment of imperfect silence together. My friends, when we decided as your worship leadership team to choose the hymn of contemplation, hymn number 396, I Know This Rose Will Open, we could not have anticipated the time that we are in right now. These lyrics are so clearly made for times such as these. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. And so as Brock plays this through for us, I believe we'll sing it 2 times through and just join in singing and with that hopeful peace of knowing that our fears will burn away.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Our reading this morning is called Stewards of Hope by Rebecca Savage. I am delighted by how Spirit moves through our spiritual communities. A few summers ago, a member of our congregation drafted architectural plans for a little free library. The brilliance of the design is that there are doors on 2 sides. One side is for the adults and one side is just for kids' books. With the help of many volunteers, including the congregation's youth, 2 little free libraries were built and installed. One near a main entrance and one near a walking trail at the edge of the property. They've been chugging along by themselves. People keep them stocked and utilized. These libraries are a beautiful, self-sustaining phenomenon, a gift to the community. And then Spirit moved again, and a generous congregant asked to be a steward of the little free libraries. He realized that with a little love and regular attention, the little free libraries could be even better, and was moved towards deeper ownership. I love this. This is the beauty and sparkle of spiritual communities. We dance together in a gentle unfolding of how we strive to be together. Needs arise, and beloveds appear to ask, how can I help? There is no fixed timeline, just the spiritual practice of generosity and stewardship. As a religious leader, I am also a steward of hope. So often we can easily slip into conversations and endless news cycles that focus on dire calamity, and we feel overwhelmed, crushed, and dispirited. Yes, there is much wrong with our world, and so much has already been lost. And yes, the yes and endures. We do have to make changes today. We do have time to practice courageous love today. We do have time to revolutionize how we live out our faith today. This is how I serve as a steward of hope, by remembering and reminding others with a wink and a smile that today can be for the good, one breath at a time, one act of love and forgiveness at a time, one act of defiance and change at a time. The prayer of my heart is that hope gives rise to insight, which gives rise to action for the good of us all. Therein ends our reading. Brock chose this beautiful piece of music to celebrate the life and the legacy of First Universalist's own Keith Stott, who turns 91 today. Keith has been a longtime member of our community and has composed so many beautiful pieces for piano and for organ and probably for other instruments I don't know about. But I'm grateful today that we get to join in some of his contentment, which is the name of the piece today, and hope each one of you feels a little extra contentment in your day having shared this piece of music together. Happy birthday, Keith. I'm so glad, I believe he's here. I'm so glad you're here. You and Pat are here. Dear friends, I have to say, it is such a joy to be back amongst you this Sunday. I am so grateful to all who moved in to lead while I was away for this past week. It was such a gift to be able to take a pause and take a breath. Our staff team has been such a dream. Our worship leaders last week were superb. So grateful to Bridget and Reverend Peter Peters for stepping in. Our church is continuing outside of the walls of our building. And all of that has been made possible by each one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. It may be an understatement to say to you all that these are audacious times to look towards our future. If you are anything like me, the last few weeks have really felt like one day and sometimes just one moment at a time. It's hard to see past the effects of the coronavirus in our daily lives and in the foreseeable future. So much of how we interact with the world has shifted. So much of how we do church has been completely turned on its head. So much feels like it is at stake right now in a way that inspires fear in our hearts, and rightfully so. We are grieving, and we are fearful as we look ahead towards what is to come. And today I am coming before you all right here on this computer screen from my porch to ask you to hold on to hope. Today, I am asking you to hold on to hope that a day will come when we will be back in our building again, when we will be able to sit next to one another, to enjoy singing and hearing the voices of those all around us, when we will sit in the pews in the quiet and only hear the sounds of others breathing in the pews in front of us or behind us. I'm asking you to hold on to this hope because I believe it is just one of the tools in our multi-tool belt to sustain ourselves in the days ahead. If there is no vision of the future, if we have nothing to look forward to, then these times will be very difficult indeed. We too are being asked to be stewards of hope in these challenging times, not a hope born in some other place or time, but the hope of a good deep breath together. Let's just take one now. The hope of a good deep breath together no matter where we are. The hope of a church that does not need walls because we are here worshiping together over the internet or over the phone. The hope of a moment to enjoy the beauty of a hymn and some shared music. The hope of caring for ourselves and others by staying distant while getting that walk in or making that phone call today or doing what we need to do to take that next right action. As our stewardship team this year chose the theme of 2020, support our vision, there is no way to know that we would be in a time where it feels like we have lost the roadmap. It is gone. I have no idea where it has gone. Don't ask me. A minister friend of mine in this past week, as we were chatting, said, "It feels like I woke up one morning and I'm no longer working in the ministry department, but rather I've been upgraded to IT and I have no idea what I'm doing." I imagine so many of you are feeling that way right now. Just where are we? Where is that roadmap? And. There's always a yes and. I am seeing the ways that folks are continuing to embody our vision, continuing to welcome folks to grow in spiritual depth and to reach out to our neighbors we know are in need. This is our vision. Welcomes, grows, reaches out. Coming back from vacation this past week, I had emails from folks on our caring committee about how to enable access to our worship services for folks who do not have internet, including mailing copies of orders of services to their homes and making a phone number available for folks to call in. This is deep welcome. Shifting our services to an online format has enabled folks to join in worship who do not live in the greater Rochester area. It has also opened our doors to folks who live in the area but were not able to come to our building for one reason or another. This is even a broader welcome than we could provide while meeting inside of our walls. I came back to hear about small group ministries beginning to meet, cozy night suppers still happening, and folks continuing to participate in our midweek meditation service. This is continuing to grow, even in a time where it feels like all we are doing is stretching, right? I mean, there's so much is changing. We too are investing in our spiritual lives in the midst of crisis. And right after buildings began to close and folks began working remotely, one of the first messages I received was one of holding deep concern for the folks being served by the food cupboard at Nestor Street. And the second someone sent me an email asking about this, someone else was emailing me to offer to be in touch with our food cupboard and to set up a time for folks to drop off food at the church yesterday. We are continuing to reach out. Our Healthy Snacks Ministry, which regularly holds open hours to bring snacks to houseless and food insecure people in Rochester's downtown, has been moved to our little free library. I saw a sign on the church's door directing folks there. The reaching out to our community has not stopped. It is still so deeply a part of who we are. In times of crisis, in times that are proving unpredictable entirely, where things are changing at such a rapid pace, here is one thing that doesn't change. We need one another. And we need church now more than ever. A place to put our stories into perspective, a place to lay our burdens down and to be cared for alongside providing care for others. Friends, the church may have left the building, but it certainly has not left our lives. Places like these, virtual sacred spaces, these are our lifeline. In a reading this morning, Rebecca Savage writes about building a little free library, and I cannot help but think of the one outside, right outside of our building. Thank you for mentioning that in the chat, David. I cannot help but think of many of you who donate books to this library, which is so regularly used, and it's hard to keep our shelves stocked for too long. And I think about how often I see these little free libraries in suburban communities where the shelves stay full most of the time because most folks in those neighborhoods have shelves of books in their own homes. Here in downtown Rochester, many of our books go to folks working downtown, and especially to our homeless and houseless neighbors. It's one thing I miss seeing when I drive up to our building. It's one thing I miss seeing on a Sunday morning, but not as much, certainly not as much as I miss seeing all of you. It is so good to see so many of you here this morning. And I still so deeply miss driving up to that building and getting inside and getting to see your faces. It's not easy to weather these changes we are going through as a community. And today, in light of it all, I ask you to be a steward of hope, as I know you have been all along. I ask you to help tend the tree of life that is our congregation. I ask you to pledge and give financially to a place that has no central location right now because it lives inside all of us. It lives inside all of us. I ask you to believe that a day will come when we will all be back together at 150 South Clinton Ave, perhaps streaming our services from there so those who are not in Rochester or in the building are still a part of the service, and we are all still together. My friends, I ask you today to be stewards of hope. To create a budget for the year ahead is literally an act of hope. To rededicate ourselves to this church community is an act of hope. To join in a joyful slice of pie together today, knowing that there will come a day when we can eat pie all together in the future, is an act of hope. Come, my friends. Will you hope with me? Will you join me in sustaining our vision, even in these times when it feels so hard to look ahead? We know that church is needed deeply in these times, and that this church is in need of your support. We cannot do all that we are doing right now without the faithful gifts of this community. We could not be doing all that we are doing right now if people had not pledged last year at this same time. People who can appreciate the beauty of this moment while also acknowledging the grief and the loss, for all that you bring to this space, for all that you are to those around you, for the gift that you are to this community. I just want to extend deep gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for offering a kind word in the chat or for waving hello to your neighbor wherever they are. So let us continue to welcome, to grow, to reach out to our community and to one another. Friends, we need each other now more than ever. A guiding vision for these times indeed. Let us continue to welcome, to grow, and to reach out. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. It is so good to be together with you all today. Our final hymn is hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. We will sing verses 1, 3, and 5. And we invite you to remain muted and yet sing out joyfully from home. Again, creating a collective song from wherever we find ourselves. Let us sing like no one else is listening and sing out joyfully.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the whole sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my vision of ministry clear, brighten my pathway with radiance here, mingle my calling with all who will share, work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Friends, as we extinguish our chalice flame this morning, let us read together the words printed in your order of service and on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Though we cannot be seated next to one another, we are still connected in this community. As we come to a time to close our service, I invite you to follow the benediction with the words today, I sustain the vision. So if you would type that into the chat as we go forward from this place, we will all type together, I sustain the vision. It will be almost like our amen. So please join us in typing these words into the chat together as we prepare to leave this sacred space. But before we do that, I invite you to place a hand over your heart, to look into the screen. Go forth this day knowing that what you are doing and who you are deeply matters. Go forth this day knowing that the church has certainly left the building, but the church has not left us, and the church will not leave us. Go forward this morning as stewards of hope to sustain the vision. And what the people of the church say, amen, and I sustain the vision.
We can see clearly now we're going strong. We can scale all obstacles in our way. When we work together, yeah, we can't go wrong. That's why I'm gonna pledge to First U today. That's why I'm gonna pledge to First U today. Now we'll be together and it won't be long. In good times and bads, we will just find a way. This is the vision we've been working for. That's why I'm gonna pledge to First U today. That's why I'm gonna pledge to First U today. Look all around, nothing but Zoom pals. We can be close, just not in the same room, pals. So won't you join me now and sing this song? We're gonna share the love with this world in need. With all of our pledges, yeah, we'll be so strong. That's why I'm gonna pledge to First U today. That's why we gotta pledge to First U today. Whoa, we gotta pledge to First U today.
Morning, friends. I'm Richard Reed, a member of the Board of Trustees. Thank you for worshiping with us in our Zoom room this morning as we continue our virtual online experiment. If you would like to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and this congregation, we host a UU and U session on the third Sunday of every month after service, which we will now be holding virtually. We will share a link at the end of this service for folks to participate in the session in the coming weeks ahead. Please see your order of service for information that you received online for our upcoming activities and events. And now a couple of highlights. Budget season is upon us. The Finance Committee will soon be hard at work developing next year's budget. If you have input, questions, or ideas about the 2020-2021 budget, we would like to hear from you by March 31st, which is this Tuesday. Contact info is listed in your order of service announcements. Thank you. Next, join a small group ministry. If you haven't taken the opportunity to be a part of a small group ministry thus far, now is a great time to stay connected this way. Our small group ministries are able to meet online over Zoom, and Reverend Michelle is happy to connect folks who are interested in meeting together for support, spiritual nourishment, and sharing with one another. Please visit the small group ministry page of our church website to take a survey about interest and availability. Thank you. Finally, Stewardship News 2020, support our vision. It's Stewardship Sunday. Many thanks to everyone who has pledged so far, and to folks who have not yet pledged, we ask you to please do so as soon as possible. You can pledge either online or you can pledge through mailing your pledge card to the church. As a reminder, the link to pledge online is located on the bottom right side of the homepage of the church's website, UURoc, ROC.org. Also, as you've noticed, there have been pledge. Am I still live? Oh, yes, I am. Lost my screen for a moment. Sorry. There also have been pledge links during this service where you could pledge today. Now, as of yesterday, we have received 68 pledges for $158,500, which includes 3 new pledges. And nearly half of these pledges have been made online. And more importantly, pledge dollar increases are more than double decreases. This is wonderful news. It's very promising. We still await to hear from 42 pledges from last year. You are truly an amazing, supportive church family. Thank you so much. Of course, we're having a unique celebration this year. Hopefully you noticed an extra link with the instructions for today's service. We're going to experiment with a virtual coffee hour time together using Zoom. As soon as I finish the messages, we will disconnect from this feed and take a 10-minute recess break for you to do whatever you need to do in order to be ready for coffee hour. You will need to click on the other link that was in the instructions to enter the Mocha Zoom room. We still plan to have a big pie celebration in person as soon as allows. Any questions should be directed to Kathy Milch, Jim Milch, or myself. Our contact information can be found in the church directory. Now, enjoy your day and enjoy your week. We hope to see you virtually next Sunday. Sending a virtual hug, blessings to everyone. Stay safe and healthy. And we hope that you'll join us at Virtual Mocha today. See you soon. Thank you.